everyone, it's Mari and I'm here today with a 12 by 12 scrapbooking process video, and I'm going to be working using a picture of my son Jordan. You can see him there in the photograph. He's buried in the sand and that's a little 3 by 3 photo. Lots of the products that I'm going to be using today are from my June hip kit, but some are from my stash, including this paper that you can see me matting Jordan's photo on. That's actually from October Afternoon, from their new line called I believe it's called maybe Summertime. Anyways, it's really great stuff, and this paper is called Sunshine, and I really love it. It's gorgeous on both sides, and I see that we're going to be getting more of it in our July hip kit, so I'm really excited about that. So I'm actually going to use that little frame there that I created using a Dynamics steel die from My Favorite Things, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute here. And there it is, and that is a really great little die. I love it, and it's got the little stitching around the edges. So I just created a little frame using some of the 6x6 paper from the 6x6 Simple Stories paper pad Summer Vibes, which I'm just showing you there, and that is really a fun line, and it's got some great papers in it. It's really great patterns and cutouts and so on. So I just matted Jordan's photo on that October Afternoon paper, and now I'm going to be putting it inside of that little frame, and I'm just kind of trying to decide how I want to use that star or sunburst pattern behind that. And that's, once again, that's that October Afternoon Sunshine paper. And so I'm just trying to get a feel for where I want to put it, but I also want to use those strips, those other strips of October Afternoon paper, and that's more of the Sunshine, and the polka dot is the swimming pool, which is also, which is also really great paper. I love it. I love all of that October Afternoon line, and I think October Afternoon just creates really great stuff. So anyway, I couldn't resist some of those papers. So now I've got that little journaling card, which is also from Simple Stories Summer Vibes, and that's what I'm going to do my journaling on. So I'm just like kind of playing with some of the different pieces. There's some die cuts from Crepe Paper Pool Party, and I'm just kind of trying to work them around. Did I say pool party? I meant poolside. Although pool party would also be a cool name for a paper collection line. Anyways, so I'm just trying to find where I want to put those little die cut pieces on the layout. And that hello is also from the poolside from Crepe Paper. And that little tag I'm going to try to work in there, and that was also in our hip kit, in one of the kits, and that's a Fancy Pants Summer Sun tag, and we actually ended up getting a whole package of those, which was really great. So I'll be using those on some of my layouts. And that Sparkly Sun die cut's that's also from Poolside. So I've kind of decided where I want to put the main mat, that sunburst piece, and where I'm going to put those strips. And now I'm just kind of getting some more of the different embellishments. I've got a little October Afternoon tin pin there, also from the Summertime line. And just so I got everything all laid out, and now I'm just going to create a few other little bits and pieces to go with it. So I took the Chamel Sunburst stamp, I guess you would call it. I didn't see a name on the packaging, and I'm just going to use some Versamark, and I'm going to use some of the orange embossing powder that we got in one of our kits. I think it was in the color kit for June. And I'm going to create some other little embellishments for the layout using that orange embossing powder. If you watched my last video, you'll know that I'm suffering from end of June teacher brain, and it's a real thing. I'm not making it up. It's actually real. It's a phenomenon. Anyways, so I'm going to use that embossing powder. I love that color. It's just so bright and summery. It's just fantastic. So I'm just going to take a coffee filter. These little containers that I keep my embossing powder in, I got from, I believe, Bed Bath & Beyond. And I don't know where all of the Bed Bath & Beyonds are in the world, but I know there's an online store, and that's all that matters to me. So you can get these little containers in the Bed Bath & Beyond online store, and I really love them. They're so handy. I believe they're made for lunches, but they are also fantastic for embossing powder. So I've got a bunch of them in my craft room in my cupboard. And when I get a new color, like I did in my hip kit, I just then dedicate a new one to one of the new colors. So this is that Orange Ranger embossing powder, and it is vibrant. I really love it. So I'm just going to take my heat tool and I'm going to emboss those up, get those heated up and all melted. It's a really good idea when you are using your embossing tool to let it run a little bit before you actually go on to your embossing powder, because the embossing tool will actually warp your paper. So it's a good idea to just let it get it good and hot and then go at the embossing powder once it's heated. It's easier on your paper that way, but you can see that I still did warp my paper a little wee bit. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut those out. And now I'm just going to take some texture paste and I'm going to create some texture on the paper. Now you can see me using the Avriel pigment ink on the layout, and this is I can't remember the name of the color. I think I showed it there, but it actually is the wrong color of yellow. It's a little bit too lemony, and I get it on there and I don't like it. So I actually end up redoing the process using Stampin' Up! Summer Sun, which is a much better match for the yellow on the October Afternoon paper. So I'm just showing you the process that I used, but I actually ended up changing the color, and I forgot to press go on my camera when I changed it, so you don't actually see me doing the Summer Sun on there, but it's exactly the same thing that I do with this. It's just a different color. So I'm just showing you here how I mixed that up on my mat with the texture paste. And you know, if you haven't used texture paste before, you can mix virtually anything to add color to it. So you can add gelatos to it. You could add almost anything. There's some things that kind of make it go a little bit weird. Like I tried one time to make it black using, I think it was chalkboard paint. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that I did that, and it turned out to be really greasy, kind of. It was disgusting, and I couldn't use it, so I actually ended up checking that out. Anyway, most products can be added to texture paste for color. So now you can see there's the Summer Sun from Stampin' Up! I used that ink, and I also adhered the white cardstock to a 12 by 12 piece of Summer Sun Stampin' Up! Paper. And I have so much Stampin' Up! Paper still, so much cardstock, which is great. I love it. I still use it to make cards, which I still make all of my own cards. I use that cardstock for all kinds of stuff still, including scrapbooking. So I'm just taking strips of those October Afternoon papers and I'm adding them to a vertical line down the paper. And I'm just kind of, if you can imagine that you could divide your paper off into thirds, and the rule of thirds idea, that was what I was going with in this layout, where there's 2/3 and a third. So roughly speaking, that's how I divided the page off. And I used the texture paste and the Crafters Workshop stencil on the left side just to create a little bit of a different texture and interest on that side. And then I'm sticking with mostly on the other side of the paper then the embellishments, the die cuts and so on. Although I do end up using those pieces that I make with the embossing powder on the left. So I'm really struggling with my stapler here, as you can see. I think it's probably a good thing that I'm doing a voiceover, because I don't think I was very happy right at that moment. Anyway, so I'm just gonna struggle with that, and then I'm just gonna toss that away. And you'll just see me sticking that down there, and I'm gonna start working on that larger piece of October Afternoon paper with the sunburst on it. Just kind of trying to decide where I want it. I want it a little bit lower because I wanted the upper portion of the paper for a title. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of my tape runner on there, and put it down on a little bit lower on the page. So now I had previously decided where I wanted everything to be on my paper. You saw that at the beginning. And what I usually do when I'm scrapping is I'll take my iPad and I'll take a picture of what my layout is or how I want it to look. If I'm using a sketch, I'll take a picture of the sketch using my iPad, or I'll screenshot it, and then I'll have that sketch in front of me on my iPad while I'm stamping or while I'm scrapping, because I use my iPhone to videotape, not my iPad. So I use my iPad definitely as a tool to help me stay organized and remember what I want to do with my layouts and stuff when I'm actually organized enough to know what I'm doing ahead of time, which I don't always. So, but this time I just created that plan that you saw at the beginning there, and then I took a picture of it, and then I took everything off, and then did the other bits and pieces, the texture paste, etc. So now I'm just working a few other things on there. That little frame that says summer on it is from the Crepe Paper Poolside collection, and it's from the little box of frames that we got in our hip kit, in one of our hip kits. I don't remember which kit it was in. It was in the June kit, but I don't remember if it was the embellishment kit or what. So now I'm just going to take and build the clusters around the page and just add everything in where I had kind of planned for it to go, creating the different clusters in the different places, and making sure that where there's certain little places where the papers overlap, that we have a little bit of a cluster in places where corners join and that kind of thing. Making sure that there's no trapped white space, making sure that things are balanced, and creating just a generally pleasing layout. So I'm going to take those pieces that I created, those squares with Chamel's stamp, and put them down the left side, those embossed pieces. I've got everything stuck down now so you can see how I balanced it off. And I put the Good Times title up there at the top, which is Thickers Thickers set that we got called Sunkissed in our kit. I'm just going to take a little bit of Dylusion's Lemon Zest and some Peach Color Shine and put some splatters on there, and I'm just about done. So this layout actually went really quick. I think it took me maybe about an hour to do or so in my craft room. And I hope you enjoyed watching today, and I hope that this inspires you to get out and have some good times in the sun. Have an amazing day. Thanks for watching. Bye.